Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 25 of Untapped. I'm Kyle Hannon, the world record holder surviving the most chemotherapy and the cancer patient with the largest biceps in the world. Today, we've got an incredible guest, one of my favorite people of all time, MMA fighter, number one amateur in Arizona, and arguably number one amateur about to go pro, I think, in the world.
Yep.
Right on. Ezra Elliott in the house today. Man, amazing. Is the plan right now to go pro, or is that something still in the works?
I gotta talk to coach about it still. We haven't really talked too much about it, but before my before my last fight, we'd kind of talked about maybe going pro if I couldn't get a fight again or something, which might be the case because it's kind of hard to get fights as an amateur. Now I'm ranked number one too. It'd be even harder. So might just go pro now.
That
I'd
was
like
put
to.
very humbly. The truth is nobody wants to fight
Yeah.
you. It's the truth. Nobody wants to fight you, man. They know, they go and they start looking around, they see you're training at the MMA lab. I mean, they're again arguably the best MMA gym in the entire world. I mean, with John
Yeah.
Crouch, incredible coach there and everything. So excited. And you won your last match, I think, was it a minute or so into the fight, minute 20
Yeah. I think it was like a minute 20.
by Darce.
Dars.
Yeah. What made you kind of start? It seems like Darce maybe is one of your go-to, if not your go-to weapon. What made you kind of start to fall in love with that? So
Whenever I first started jujitsu, because I come from wrestling, and I remember my first days doing jujitsu. It's kind of a move. I just kind of, uh, me and Tim kind of talked about this today. Like, why do you get good at a move? I don't feel like I did so many reps on it or anything. It's just maybe I caught someone that was good with it and I got confidence with it, so I kept shooting it. I remember being a white belt and my original jujitsu coach. He's a black belt. He fought in the UFC. His
who's
Ryan
that?
Thomas, super sick fighter. He fought in the UFC back, I don't know, like probably like 2010. And I remember I was a white belt and I caught him with a Darce. I remember him giving me my blue belt. He's like, I can't get caught by a white belt, so he gave me the blue. And I've always shot the Darce. It's just been like a go-to move ever since then.
Man, that's incredible. Did you know jujitsu when you were in high school at all?
No, no, I only wrestled, so I didn't do any martial arts outside of wrestling, and until I was done wrestling.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. So Ezra, he's moved down. You moved down here. But how long ago is it now that you've been down here?
It's been 2 years. It just hit 2 years, uh, the beginning of this month.
2 years. Wow, that went by fast, huh?
Yeah, it did.
Dang, it seems like just yesterday. First time I met you guys with it. You and Kiara was over at the gym or old gym.
The old gym, right? Yep. Yeah, I remember. Well, over at
That's
the old
awesome.
gym.
So you moved down here with Kiara, that's your girlfriend, and
Mhm.
you guys have been together for how long now?
Uh, 4 years and a couple months.
Wow. And how did you guys meet? How did that come along?
So I've known Kiera since I was probably like 6 or 7 years old. So, uh, her cousins are some of my best friends. So I grew up with her cousins, and she'd be over. We playing like football and stuff as little kids, and I've known her for basically forever. But we end up, becoming a little more than friends once we got a little older. So, my senior year, we started dating. So she's a year younger. So she was a junior. I was a senior in high school. We started dating.
That was the best story ever. And now, so you're 23 right now, right? And Kiara is what, 22?
She's still 21, but she turns 22 in September.
Oh, right on. And
Yeah.
Kiara's sister, Kaya, I think she just turned 19, or I forget. She just turned 19. She moved down a couple months ago and has been went to work for us at TRC and has just been the most awesome employee. We just you guys have been such huge supporters from the beginning and encouraging us with meals, and I admire you guys so much watching you grow. Both of you guys. Kiara is with Altered Athletics, right?
Yep.
And she's a personal trainer, and just watching her from the start to where she is now, she's just a top level. It looks like she has a whole area of clients now that she's trying.
Yeah. Yep.
That's incredible. Yeah, we'll have to
Yeah.
put her stuff up there, and then you just got to check her out if you're looking to get in shape. And it looks like she trains primarily females. Is that right?
Yeah. I think she does train some men's classes and stuff, but it's mostly females. I remember when we first moved here, she like had hardly any clients. Like when we first got here, she just like, I don't know, we just started at the very bottom. We had a really small studio apartment. We kind of worked our way up over the past 2 years. It's been nice.
I have absolutely loved watching you guys grow, and the principles, how you guys work together. You're growing together. You knowing each other your entire lives. That's a beautiful story, and man, I can't wait to see. I know I told you guys before. I think the whole world's going to know who each one of you are. The way that you guys are, you're amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Right on. So we've got.
So,
Oh,
could
go
I
ahead.
ask you a question, Kyle?
Sure. Yeah.
When did you and Ara meet?
Let's see. We met about 5 years ago. I was visiting. I like to try to visit cancer patients when I can and encourage them. And I ended up getting linked with a cancer patient who was about 74 years old named David. And he'd been through it. He was so encouraging to me. You go in and try to encourage someone else and then it being an encouraged blessing to you. And he'd been through so much. He'd been battling serious, severe lung cancer and been on dialysis for kidney disease for 10 years. I go in and visit him, and he liked Taco Bell. He'd want 3 chicken soft tacos and mild sauce. So I'd sneak that in for him each time.
Yeah.
Just love the dude. He just loved boxing. He was an ex-Air Force guy, just good people. And Ara had just moved here from the Philippines. She petitioned for 11 years to come to the United States. It's just crazy to me. It takes that long, 11 years paying money here and there. She worked and worked and hustle. I worked at a factory and hustle on the side, selling meals and stuff like that. And became a caretaker for that's her stepfather. So her mom had flown her out, and that's kind of her job. So she was around a lot, and I just kind of got to know her there. And I mean, who wants to be with a terminal cancer patient? I got really fortunate there. So really.
That's awesome.
Thanks for asking that, man. That's awesome. I was thinking too. The I've been thinking a lot about, because I've got my boy here. I'll put him on in a second. I got 3 boys, 17, 13, and 12. And Kai, he's the middle one, and he's really taken on to training. It kind of finally clicked this year where he's kind of getting hungry to train and get better. He's really into basketball, and he wants to find out how he can optimize his body as an athlete. At what age did it really start clicking on you that, hey, I'm going to get serious about wrestling and I want to put in some real work for this?
Yeah. So when I was in 7th grade, so I was never really that good at wrestling growing up. It started when I was 10. That's kind of a late start in wrestling. Most people start when they're like 5. Even though 10's young, it's kind of still late in the beginning. But I had a really good coach. His name's Logan Patton. He coaches a phenomenal team now. He coaches Tolono Unity High School. They're really good. I think they got second in state this past season. In Illinois, they're really good. And yeah, in Illinois. And he moved to my hometown and was coaching our team. And super small town, like just kind of lucky to have met this guy, And he's super passionate about wrestling. And then when I was in 7th grade, I started taking it serious, and we started training full time. There was no time off. Like the summer, it went from being a 3-month sport to a year-round sport. We were doing tournaments, doing camps, stuff all summer. And we had me and all my friends. We all did it from 7th grade to senior year.
Wow. And in there, were you wrestling year round then?
Yeah. So I'd say so like 13 years old. And then especially the next year when I was going from 8th grade to high school, that was even another level of like training when we really started ramping it up.
How many hours a day were you training then?
I'd say probably just do an hour and a half wrestling practice, just
Okay.
one practice. But then we would lift weights too, and and maybe me and my buddies we might hit a run. I used to ride BMX. We'd ride BMX all day, and maybe we'd hit a run at night after. Just like my whole team, we would put in a lot of work together. And then during season, a lot of times when it was season, we would do two a day. We'd come in at like 6 a.m. before school started and do like a little drill session, and then after school have another practice.
Man, oh man, that grind is insane. Daily doubles, and
Yeah.
you guys, that's crazy. And we were talking the other day about that you got into Greco-Roman wrestling.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people would be interested, especially fighters coming up and stuff. What made you get into that, and what is the difference between
Yeah.
like standard freestyle?
So, uh, so Illinois, or I should say, wrestling has three different styles of wrestling. There's folk style, which is what you do during season, where everyone's wearing the headgear, and it's what schools do. And then out of season, you do the Olympic styles. So what the rest of the world does is Greco and freestyle. And Illinois, Greco is pretty big. And most other states, I don't think it's near as big as Illinois. Most people just do freestyle, but in Illinois, Greco's big. So I had a lot of good coaching in Greco. And this guy named Brian Medlin, he coaches at Illinois now. He's the RTC coach, which is like the guy who coaches the Olympic athletes, the guys trying to make Olympic teams and stuff. And he was my coach for Greco and for freestyle.
Wow.
Every summer, along with my high school coach, we'd go. My high school coach would drive us about an hour and a half, 2 hours, multiple days of the week to go work with this guy. And the guy's a genius. He's like really like a savant when it comes to like Greco-Roman wrestling, like freestyle. He coaches like the best guys in the world. I think like this guy like he he's like probably up to like midnight every night watching wrestling matches. You know what I mean? He's
Wow.
really just a student in the sport.
I love the sound of this guy. It that's so cool. It sounds like that you picked up a lot from him because I see you as such a I know gotten to know you as you're such a cerebral guy. You're just such a deep thinker, deep reflective thinker. Like when you meet people who are really good authors, I've met people who are really good authors or chess players or something like that. I notice that they're really trained in being able to just take time to think through something really deeply. Do you feel that about yourself that's played a role in getting the success you had in MMA?
Yeah, I feel like the success, like obviously, I'm just an amateur right now. So to me, I still don't feel like I've really got to showcase any of the skills I have. But I think everyone that trains with me kind of knows the skills I have. Like all the really good guys, that are here at the lab and like Sugar and those guys. Like I think they kind of know the skill sets I have. But I feel like a lot of it is like I wouldn't say it's like I feel like I'm deep thinking. I'm just curious. Like every time there's a position, I have questions. No matter what, I'll ask everyone questions. I want everyone's input on certain one area I could think about for hours. And sometimes I have trouble shutting it off, which I try to shut off when I'm not training. I try to kind of keep the world separate, but uh, I get I can go down the rabbit hole pretty far when it comes to training.
What do you do to try to shake that off?
You know, you gotta like just learn to be present and get in like just be where you are, which I have trouble doing that sometimes. Sometimes I'm sitting there and I'll start thinking about a spot I was in and maybe I should have done this. And it's not bad. It's just eventually you got to live your life and leave what happened in the room. Because I do this bad where like sometimes I live and die in the room. Like I'll say like um if I had a really good training session, I'm like I'm the man, and my ego's just roaring. Then I have a bad one, and I'll just let it ruin my whole day. I'll be thinking about, oh, I want to get that back, and I'll really think about it, and I probably shouldn't be that bad about it, but it's just something I do.
Yeah, I feel so encouraged by you. I feel like I'm another generation ahead, at least a generation ahead. But I get so encouraged. I feel like we've got a good mutual encouragement going, because with battling the cancer stuff, I think as time has gone on, and I've always been into boxing and MMA just from a fan perspective, and always been trying to train and things like that. But I really got deep into understanding it in the last 3 years, and it's been the number one thing that it has saved my life to be able
Yeah.
to learn fighting, because at what you're doing in mixed martial arts, every time you go in there, there's an element of, I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but death. I mean, you're going in there and you could get seriously hurt or die. And it's kind of the same thing when I go into these chemos. Everyone that I go into, it's sort of like a fight or a serious treatment where, hey, this one could seriously hurt me. It's going to make me sick. I'm going to go through it just like you're in the ring or whatever. So it's amazing to me that I have trouble connecting with people now, because I'm in such a different world. And like you're saying, I'm always thinking about how to, it's life and death. So I'm always thinking, and they wake up in the middle of the night, okay, where's my body? You know, what happened? What's my next step? I'm always fighting. So being able to connect with fighters like you that are at that level, that are putting their entire life into it, it's been such a blessing. It's really motivated me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Do you feel like um just uncertainty of things? Like when there's always uncertainty, it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like when you're just not sure of something. It's
Yeah.
there's a scary feeling, but it's almost like stuff that scares us as people. That's what makes us feel the most alive.
Oh, it's so true, man. I
Yeah.
think that's really wise. I get uncertain, especially if I don't have a plan in place and I haven't developed a rhythm. If I got a new treatment that I'm going into, I like to know what's the schedule, what's the plan. That's kind of like the fight camp. What's the outcome? And when we all of a sudden you get derailed, you get all of a sudden I get a kick to the head, then we got to change things, and you're just kind of there's kind of an uncertainty there, and it's hard. That's a real time I think that I grow the most, is when that stress builds. It's really hard not to think about those things, and as it parallels in the training to, maybe you get injured or something happens to you, and it's really tough to not let that stress or that almost depression start to build in your body. So I think the muscles in that area get strengthened to help you be strong up here as well when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, uh, something I wanted to kind of bring up is something we've had a conversation about a few times, but I think we're talking about movies and we're talking about music,
Yeah.
just how we like as people we kind of have like different characters within ourselves, and we let like music or movies or like a character in a movie or like whoever, like we kind of we kind of play this role like we're them in our own heads, or like different music can draw out different emotions and like different sides of yourself. Like you can listen to a certain song and it makes you feel a completely different way than another song, and that's like how you get in like moods of like, oh, I want to listen to this today or that today. And kind of it's weird because we're kind of like different people, the same person, but we have like different people within ourselves.
That is so true, man. I'm really guilty of that one, probably taking it too far. Like I'll be that, there's a second way back in the day. I lived in Long Beach, California. I thought I was gonna be a rapper. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, I love hip hop. Sometimes I'm in my car and nobody's around, and listen to it and I go into this other type of character, you know what I mean? Or you're so right. Listening music has been, I mean, it's just been so big for me. If I'm feeling really super sick and just almost defeated and just can't break out of it, I put in some level of music. Maybe it's a music to get me in just a chill type of mood. Maybe it's a movie to fire me up. Maybe I'm just gonna hit a big bong rip or something, and just float into some Bob Marley, you know what I mean? But you are
Yeah.
so right about that. And you're really right. I didn't even realize that till you said that. I kind of go into almost another version of myself, another character, almost like a suit. Like I listen to something and suddenly
Yeah.
I'm Sugar Sean or Ezra Elliott, and I'm
Yeah.
in a big UFC fight.
Like I've done that where I'll almost picture myself like I can listen to songs and I can almost like visualize myself as a completely different maybe not person, but just maybe it's still me, but a different version of myself. Like I could listen to something and imagine myself way back in the 1800s and I'm like some cowboy or something. Or I can imagine myself like I can like listen to like rap music and I can like you said, like literally I start to think I'm like some rapper. Like I could literally like every every kind of like songs just they can make you feel like a different person. It's kind of crazy. And movies, I said the reason I said it with movies is I don't know if you do this, but every single time I watch a movie, like it never fails. Every time, ever since I was a little kid, in my head, I don't maybe say it verbally, but in my head, I go, I'm that guy. Whoever it is in the, I could been like a little kid watching Cars. I'm like, I'm Lightning McQueen. That's me. And I just connect myself to that character like I'm them for some reason.
Oh man, I got deep into Rocky like that growing up. I just
Yeah,
would
Rocky, exactly.
over and over, and I became that character, and it's awesome. It's a motivation because when you tap into a story that's something that's kind of good for you, or it's I don't even know if it's motivating, but it's kind of something that puts you into another channel. So you can I've gained so much from Rocky. I've gained so much from that story, like going to
Yeah.
that dark times or whatever. You know what I mean?
hmm You
Uh,
know, me and Bryce, we kind of mess around with this because have you ever watched the Creed movies?
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A couple
Yeah.
weeks ago I watched the third one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we like to say the only problem with these movies, the only problem I think, whenever you're people that don't train at all, they think it's that easy to be the best in the world. They're like, why don't you just do what they're doing? Just work really hard and you'll be the best. You're like, everyone's doing that. Everyone's trying to do that. It's way harder than like they'll do like 5 fights and they're the world champion. In reality, it takes years to even get that opportunity. Like where Sugar's at, it takes years to build yourself to there.
Man, what a awesome thing to be around guys like Bryce Miller, Meredith. I've started to get to know him just a little bit, and I he's just such an awesome dude, and I can just feel his skill level and his work ethic and discipline that goes into everything he does. It's
Yeah,
just so cool.
yeah. We're lucky to have guys like him around, dude. He's like Bryce, is one of my best friends now, dude. Like we've gotten really close in the past like year and a half, and he's one of my best friends. He's an awesome guy.
I'm hoping we had talked before, and I really want to get him on the pod too and get
Yeah.
into it. Just such a good guy to talk to. Levi
Mhm.
Levi isn't here today. I forgot to mention that we're missing Levi and Dana too. Dana's got a date tonight, and
Yeah,
Levi he made Kill Cliff Fight Club. So he tried out with 4 other guys, and he was one that made it. And it's two and
that's
a half
awesome.
hours from where he stand where his family and Taya's family, his girlfriend is. So he's been kind of going back and forth and adjusting to that sort of thing. So he did
Is he staying there?
he doesn't know exactly yet. He called. I think he wants to come out here and take a fight. He called up Tim Welch over here, and he said he might want to try to take a. Of course, that nobody's trying to bother Tim right now with Sugar's fight coming up in August. So he's thinking maybe after that at some point to maybe take an amateur fight, like a rough fight.
Mhm.
For now, like
Yeah.
that's where their home is. Their both of their families is and stuff, and with everything that's happened, moving around in baseball, going to take a few months and kind of explore this Kill Cliff Fight Club. But I know that his heart is to come out here. He loves training with Tim. He loves training with the MMA lab. I know he
Mhm.
misses it.
Yeah. Kill Cliff's a good team. They're a really big team. I kind of wonder what the just what the training environment's like there because there's so many more fighters, you know.
Yeah, no, it might be. I wonder what it'd feel like to go to have like you go train there or something, and like what you
Yeah.
would feel like when you came back. And it's got to be. I wonder, is it hard to go to another gym and train because you have such a disciplined, dedicated routine going on that even traveling somewhere can kind of take away from that, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
I think people don't realize I really been stuck on this too. Is like when I went and looked at the amateur rankings because I'd seen something on there. I was trying to remember. I know that how does that whole ranking thing? And I know there's different ways to rank it, but the biggest one that I found, I can't even remember what organization what was under. It's incredible to look on there to see at 135 there's hundreds of fighters that are amateurs right now, and if you think about it, like you were saying, some of these guys they think that they can just train a little bit in their garage and go to class a little bit.
Yeah.
That is the equivalent. Now it is the equivalent to if you didn't play baseball since age 4 and trying to make Major League Baseball. I mean, that's the absolutely most ridiculous thing in
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's just so good now. Everyone is so good.
And at 135 especially, I think it's so cool in Arizona, the MMA lab. I mean, there's no other gym even close for right at 135 in the entire world.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
I don't think it's not even a competition at this point.
yeah, yeah. Levi had a couple questions. When you were wrestling in high school, was MMA on your mind a lot? Like, did you know that you're going to be a fighter?
What's kind of funny is that whenever I was in high school, I would say, like, if someone asked me, what's your plans in the future? I'd say, I'm going to go wrestle in college and then I'm going to fight in the UFC. But in my head, I would say stuff like that, but I didn't even think about what it takes to even do that or what really wasn't on my mind much. I would just say it like it was part of my plan, but I hadn't done any of the work to even think I could do it, but I just would say I could do it.
That's amazing. What would you say the difference between like the jujitsu and wrestling mindset and culture? And like what's some key differences there?
I'd say it's actually really different, to be honest. The wrestling growing up, I thought it was intense. Like training's very intense. It's really hard work. Every session is really hard. It's about outworking the guy, high pace, breaking people. It's kind of a lot meaner. I've never went to a tournament and kind of seen a kid I was going to wrestle and become kind of buddies with him. It wasn't really like that. It's just meaner sport. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of weird because fighting's kind of in between, but wrestling's mean. And then in jujitsu, I remember going to my first jujitsu tournament. And the kid I'm about to go against, he's like, "Oh, what's up, man?" Like we're just like hitting it off, like we're just best buds. And I was kind of thrown off by it. Like, and I remember doing my first practices. Everyone's kind of laying around, or we're like drilling arm bars or something, and no one's going that intense. Like back when I was in high school, we'd be like, "Get your reps in, high pace, high drilling pace." We'd be going as hard as we could. And then in jiu-jitsu, it's kind of like relaxed. It's like such a relaxed feel. They're
That's
just totally different cultures.
that's so true. I have my boys. My youngest boy is he was in jujitsu and he's out of all of us. He's a guy more in the direction of you where he can kind of hear something and get it, just kind of
Mm-hmm.
right away and really enjoys jujitsu and the puzzles of and learning that kind of stuff. And he hadn't been rolling for maybe a year, and he went back yesterday, and we started him in wrestling twice a week. So he did his first wrestling class ever, and he's going. They were doing some live rounds, and it's so funny because he was so struggling with the element of he wanted to pull guard, like it was if he got in a position, the guy was working so hard and furious to get him on his back, and he was just like going on his back, and everybody's like, no. He's like, Dad, I don't know. And I was like, oh no, I should have taught him more about the rules, but we were kind of talking about
Yeah.
that last night, like how incredibly different the two sports of jujitsu and wrestling are. As different, possibly. I mean, you got soccer and basketball, both use a ball, but they're very different sports.
Yeah. Yeah, they really are. It's weird because the principles, like when you kind of understand them both, you're like, oh, they're really similar. But if you only know one, they're so completely different.
Yeah, that's true. I I got to mention on here. Maybe I'll have you talk about it for a second. I am bonded with you for life. In our hike, we went out with Keith, and man, I'll let you tell that story. But I feel like I almost died a couple times there, and you looked out for me, and I'm loyal with you. I'm ride or die with you, man.
Okay. I'll kind of explain from my perspective. So, uh, me, Kyle, and Keith, we went hiking up in Sedona. I don't even know where we were, to be honest. Sea Monster, he's the man.
Oh yeah, man.
He's black belt for the lab. He's just one of the greatest guys in the world. He's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
And we went out there, and he's kind of guiding us like through this hike, and we all took some mushrooms. And dude, I I just feel like we were pretty blasted, and it was a hard, long hike. I remember I remember we're hiking for a long time. No one kind of was talking for a minute. You know, you're kind of coming up on mushrooms. You're just like in your own head. We start talking, and we're just having a super sick conversation. And you know, to be honest, I don't even fully remember a lot of the conversations. I just remember we were all really in tune. We're in the same realm. We're just on the same wavelength. You know, we're walking these thin, narrow ledges. Like if you fall, you're done. But we're just moving like we weren't even thinking about it. We were just going right through it. And we come to that canal.
Oh.
And I don't know how long it was. It felt really long. I'd say it have to be at least a quarter mile minimum. And the water was cold. Sea Monster Keith, he blows up his little raft and he puts our backpacks on it. And he starts getting in. And I'm looking around for any way to avoid this cold water. I start looking around. I'm trying to look. Maybe I'll climb these cliffs. I'm like, maybe I'll just go up on the cliffs. And Kyle and Keith both got in the water and started swimming. And I'm like, man, I got to do it. I jump in, and instantly I'm shocked, you know, because if you've ever been in a cold plunge, you know, it's like 40-degree water. It's cold.
Yeah.
But if you're swimming in it and the water's moving, because there's a current, we're swimming against the current. It was so cold. And me and Kyle were struggling. Sea Monster, he's the Sea Monster for a reason. He was trudging right through.
So true.
And I look over at Kyle, you know, and I could tell he was struggling a little bit. And I was struggling bad too. And we had to take a break about halfway through up on that ledge and kind of regained our bearings.
Yep.
Got all the way down. Finally got through the water. And then we sat down in the sun trying to reheat. I mean, we were just shivering.
Oh, yeah.
I remember we were shivering bad, and we started eating and drinking, and we started like just came back to life.
Yes.
That was honestly one of the sickest days ever. We literally were supposed to. We went up there early, probably like 9 a.m. We're supposed to leave by 4, and we didn't get out of there till midnight.
Yeah. We got a little bit worried at the park rangers. At the park rangers looking for us for a minute, but
yeah,
thanks to Keith's great leadership and man, and your encouragement, man, especially I seriously was in trouble a couple times. Like, my body. We had talked about the body almost kind of shutting down when you get deep into stuff, like when you're making a weight cut, and I felt it going that direction a couple times, but I bounced out of it. I mean, that was an incredible turn. We had that one moment where Keith disappears, and next thing you know, we look up. And how high up was he? Like 40 feet? Did you say 40, 50?
So I was talking to Keith about this, I think 2 days ago, and he said it was probably about a 60-footer, and it was big. It was really big. Because I remember we were looking at each other, and he goes, "Is she gonna jump off that?" And I go, "I don't know. I don't know if it's even deep enough." And you're like, "Maybe we should tell him not to jump off." And I was trying to tell him not to. I thought he was just gonna jump.
Yeah.
And he did that gainer off. He sent the huge gainer off of it, and I was like, "Oh my god, that was crazy."
I know, man. I think there was a second or two there where both of us were like, it all flashed through us, man. If something happens to him, we're screwed. That was crazy.
I was thinking that, and I was like, man, I hope he doesn't get hurt right now.
Yeah.
I was actually worried when he was in the air.
Yeah.
And then he come up, and I was like, okay, he's good. That was sick.
I know, too. What really freaked me out is that it wasn't that deep of water in a lot of places, and he knows what he's doing, but for like a rookie,
I know.
Man. Man, amazing. Well, man, I think unless you got something else to go with, man, we got this thing is gonna run out on the recorder or whatever. But dude, I love this talk, and I look forward to more.
Yeah.
Future.
I do want to ask you one question.
Yeah, man.
Okay. So are you big into visualization?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you visualize, what do you what do you normally what do you normally do when you visualize
I use a lot of
or
visual.
think about, I guess?
Yeah, yeah. I use a lot of visualization techniques. I kind of was triggered by I read a couple of Tony Robbins books, motivational dude, and when I started to utilize stuff like when I got into it, when I got sick, I was in a tough place, or maybe something was bugging me that happened recently, or the day before or something. Like, why didn't I do this? Or man, that this hurt or whatever, and I couldn't break out of it. I would take that and visualize it, and I'd play it in fast speed. I'd warp it. I'd change the colors to it, and yeah, I use that technique a lot when I'm feeling just super, super sick and I can't shake out of it, and it's almost overwhelming. I visualized before, like when we were in the water, or those beautiful moments in between where it was a tough grind, but we had those beautiful moments, and I'll just visualize the scenery around there, that how beautiful it was.
Do you
Or,
remember the moon? I remember the moon looked crazy to
oh
me.
man, that's all we had, because that was a good one because it was so dark, and I felt I was suffering so much, but we had that beautiful moon above us.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You use that stuff too, visualization?
Yeah, I got really big into visualization when I was in high school because I got into uh, I was a little bit of a Conor McGregor fan, and he was
Oh,
did all the interviews with the visualization. I started listening to this guy. I think Sugar likes him. He used to put him in his like old vlogs and stuff. Russ, have you ever heard Russ?
I don't know about that. No, I'm gonna have to check that out now.
Yeah, yeah, Russ. A lot of his music's about like manifesting things and stuff like that. And
Oh, I know what you're
even
talking
my first
about. Yeah.
tattoo I got's kind of about manifesting. I got a prayer on my chest. It's from the Bible, and it's a as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Kind of it's a whatever you think you are, you become kind of thing. I've been like really big on just belief, like for 6 or 7 years now. Big.
That's so beautiful.
So I got like it's basically just like a cross and some clouds, but then like the words in it. It's my first tattoo. I got it when I was like 16, like right when you can get a tattoo, and it just says, uh, "As a man thinks in his heart, so is he." And it's just a quote from the Bible, but it's about manifesting. Basically, it's just as a man thinks he is, he will become. So, um, I just took that and like really ran with it when I was younger, hearing it, and then now it's still something I always do. I feel like I don't maybe visualize fights, not like I visualize actual fights that often, but what I normally do is I feel like I visualize positions. I visualize myself where I want to be, and
Wow.
just act like I'm there. Just act like I remember I've listened to some smart people just to say like visualizing something about visualizing. You need to view yourself as you already have it instead of if you want it. Because if you already have it mentally, like you're putting out a desire, like a you're putting out like an energy of having something. But when you put out want, you're just like it's like an ungrateful energy, and you don't draw it back to yourself.
That is so true. I think people are gonna millions of people around the world are gonna hear that message right on this podcast. No, but I really think that in the future, when you get into the UFC, that is a beautiful, powerful message. I've never heard any athlete take that and put that verse. I'm a Bible nerd sort of, and
Yeah.
that's beautiful, man. That was encouraging, inspiring to me as well. That's amazing. Now I'm fired up. I want to go get a verse now. Get
You
some.
have any tattoos?
Yeah, I got a little butterfly Esperanza who's at
Oh
our.
yeah, I see. I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just did a butterfly because when I first got diagnosed, it was really weird. I started seeing yellow butterflies everywhere. And I don't know if
Yeah.
it's just because I was starting to pay attention to, you change. It's probably like that when you're training for a fight and you're in a state of just starvation almost, and you start
Mhm.
to smell things differently and see things differently. So, but the butterfly, just something about it, I just became almost like just fixated on butterflies, how beautiful they are.
Yeah.
It make me feel so awesome when I'd be feeling so sick. Remind me to get outside, and I'd link it all to Bible stuff and change and rebirth and growth and things
Mhm.
like that. So I never I've always kind of been cool about like, hey, tattoos are cool, and I always kind of wanted to get one, but I didn't understand it till I got a tattoo. Now I get it. Now I can once you get it, now I want a bunch.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way.
You think
If I
you
didn't
get
ever get any, I might not want any, but having one, I'm like all in. Like I want to have a lot now that I have one.
it's so true. You think you get face stuff and that kind of thing.
Maybe not the face, but I want my neck. I like the ones Tim has on his neck. I think those are sick.
Man, it just makes you look like
Yeah, it
oh,
does. Yeah. You know, uh, kind of like you were saying with like the butterflies and like kind of like how we take things and like it's like a symbol for us.
yes.
Just like everything. Like lately, I've been getting really into like I was saying about like not putting out any one. I don't want to put out any one. I just want to put out like attitude of like an attitude of gratitude. I'm just grateful for everything I have. So I don't like to even think, oh, I want this. I want to be here. I want this. When I was younger, I did that really bad, really, really bad because I always wanted something. I always wanted to be a certain person, I guess. And now I'm getting older and I don't really want anything. I just, I think it just comes. Like, I feel like I'm already the person and becoming the person. Like, I'm doing the steps to become the person I want to be. So I don't want, I'm saying want still, but I'm just trying to not put out a desire of want. I don't have like a desire. I'm grateful for where I'm at. I'm grateful for where I'm going to continue to go. Just like gratitude, optimism. I'm really big on these right now. I've been like just lately, like really getting into it.
I love it, man. Man, yeah. I'll say this from an end of man. I learned from you, and I love it. And also, I'm proud of you, brother. Man, I'm proud of you. You're an awesome dude. You're a leader already, more than you know of a lot of warriors coming up. And I come across these guys, and you know, Sugar's got such a big following now with the Jobans, and I feel like I'm
Yeah.
just another old Joe. And I think you started on that too, right? The Timbo Sugar Show. And
Yep.
it's an amazing community. For some reason, there's this uprising, I think, of guys in the next generation that are people don't understand. There's a track to take to go to college when you finish high school. You're supposed to go to college and you're gonna
Yeah.
get married, get a job, and things like that. And I think things are really shifting big time. I mean, if somebody listens to you talk right now, you've gone through being an amateur fighting, starting with moving down here, just starting in a completely new town, starting as a no stripe white belt, and getting to where you are now. You just you're graduating into the pros, like graduating with a degree from Harvard. I mean, you're at the MMA lab. That's like the
Yeah.
Harvard,
Yeah.
the MMA. And I think I want people that are in high school to listen to this, listen to you talk, and then listen to. I mean, there's some great people that are coming out of college, but I'm going to estimate, maybe I'm the wrong end of it, but 90% aren't going to be talking with that level of wisdom. The college that you've gone to is so incredibly valuable. I just hope that more and more people can see that.
Yeah. It is crazy. Like, where I'm from, like back home, it's not like this. Like, I feel like everyone's very complainer mindset. Like, this town fucking sucks. No one's ever gonna make it out of here. There's less like a lot of negativity, I feel like. And when I moved out here, guys like you, guys like the guys at the lab, like everyone I was surrounding myself with and meeting, especially you. You carry this energy more than anyone I've ever met in my whole life of just positive energy. Like you only put positive out. Only. All right. And most people, it drains them to even stay positive. And I think out here, like, just so many people are just like, even if something bad happens, like, they just take it with stride. It's like, I feel like I just started looking up to everyone around me, and I'm like, dude, I'm just going to take this from this person, this from this person. And I feel like I've taken a little bit from everyone, tried to learn something from everyone. And I'm like becoming kind of my own man. I'm still young, but I'm becoming my own man. I feel it like just how everyone's rubbed off on me in a good way.
You're the epitome of the future of leaders, man. You're already a great leader. I can't wait to see. I want to. I know you're gonna get busy, and I know you're not gonna, forget about us. But I know, doing some check-ins with you would be so fun because, man, I can't wait to see what happens in your career ahead. It's gonna be so fun.
Yeah, things be good.
Heck yeah, man. Well, my brother, I think we got a good one here today. That was a lot of fun, man. I learned.
Yeah, thank you.
That, and I hope that anybody that's listened to it uh, gets the same out of it. I think this is legendary. I'm going to be a little prideful. This is a
Yep.
legendary podcast. All right, my brother.
Yep. Pleasure chopping it up. That was good.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching Untapped episode 25. We miss Levi and Dana. We'll be back with them next episode. Love you guys. Have the best.
Yep.